This summer, there's a new Spyderco sent to save us all. A knife that everybody is talking about. From the minds that brought you the smash hit, Paramilitary, followed by the smash hit, Paramilitary 2, followed by the smash hit, Paramilitary 3. You ordered yours in January, to wonder in February if you'd be getting it in March, only to see your friends get theirs in April. But now it's May, and it's here, and it means business. This knife is ready to cut some ounces and chew some bubblegum, and it's all out of bubblegum. Presenting the Paramilitary 3 Lightweight, coming soon to a retailer near you.
How's it going, guys? Before we jump into our knife review, I did want to take a second to thank a few people, very specifically Misheardknifereviews from over on Instagram. He created the movie posters that you saw there in the beginning. I asked for one and he created all those. I only needed one and he went above and beyond. Hope you guys enjoyed it. But yeah, go follow him on Instagram. He watches YouTube knife reviews with the auto captions on. And then what it does, when it mistranslates, he makes a meme out of that and he posts it up. It's pretty fun. It's I like it. I look forward to his posts. One of the few ones that I'm always out there looking for is his new stuff. And then thanks for Nick Shabazz letting me use his quote, and Kenny from In the Pockets. He let me borrow his Native 5. So without those, with those guys and just a lot of other people that I always work with, my video wouldn't be possible. So big thanks to Knife Collaboration, the knife community, and everyone involved. All right, here we go. This summer, Para 3 Lightweight, easily one of my most anticipated knives of the year, for the fact that it is modeled after my favorite, or one of my favorite Spydercos, the Para 3. It is sub $100, and it is the lightweight model, one of the lightweight models, and I'm a big fan of those. So this is something that I was very excited to get, and I finally got it. So let's check it out. The way we're going to do this review is a little bit different. We're going to also throw in some knife comparisons. We're going to run it up against a Chaparral lightweight, the Native 5 lightweight, and the Bug Out. I think that's a pretty good little eclectic mixture of things that kind of fall in this kind of size range, just lightweight EDC use. So we're going to check those out. I'll timestamp the bottom here if you guys want to skip the actual review part and just check this knife out against some of these others. Oh, a little smudge in there. Yeah, we'll have to clean that up. And then the Bug Out. But yeah, but we're also going to go through the pros of the knife, the things it's doing well, the so-sos, things that, little nitpicks, and then the oh-no's, the potential deal breakers. And then we're going to get started with, as always, a spec check. So we're going to throw that spec check in here and, yeah, kick this thing off. Here we go. All right, now that we got the basic specs out of the way, we'll drop in a size comparison snapshot just to give you an idea how big this knife is, and essentially it's the same size as the Para 3. No big surprise there, but I threw a few other in the mix so you can get an idea overall where this knife is going to fit into the bunch. So starting with the pros of the knife, one of the things I want to talk about that this knife is doing well is the price. I think this knife is very appropriately priced for a USA made Spyderco, modeled after one of their most popular models using a compression lock and this CTS BD1 and steel. Going into the next thing that kind of wraps us into the steel that they're actually using. This steel, I am not the steel expert. I can just speak on my general experiences using these knives, and I haven't used this one much, but there are some guys out there who are doing a great job. I'm going to link them down below. Gerald from Outpost 76 particularly did a pretty good job on this, and his testing was very favorable. I don't want to spoil it, but you guys can go check it out. I'm going to link that. Please give it a good watch and get informed on this steel. It's doing pretty good. I'm happy with it enough to label it as one of the pros. Nice little upgrade that they did over the original, which was one of my biggest gripes, was the pocket clip and the lanyard hole. They have moved the lanyard hole back a little bit. Let's focus. They've moved it down and made it less pronounced, which is a good thing, especially on a lightweight model knife like this. And they went with the wire clip. Thank you, Spyderco, one of my favorite production clips, which is just going to help it ride really well and be a little more discreet in the pocket. And once you get it out of the pocket, getting it in hand, your ergonomics are pretty good. You know, it is a Spyderco, and they've been known to even sacrifice looks for ergonomics, and I appreciate that because at the end of the day, this is going to be a cutting tool that I'm going to want to use. And they're doing a pretty good job on ergonomics. A little asterisk up at the top that we'll touch on a little bit later on. But once you get this in hand, it's comfortable. It feels like home. It feels like a Spyderco. And there is, let's see if we can get on it, some really nice just rounding and contouring that they've done here on the outside edges. They've rounded this off. This little contouring that they did kind of like goes up and then down back into the choil. Wonderful job, Spyderco. Big fan of that. But the other things that we're going to touch on are some of just the variables. And by variables, I mean not every knife is going to experience this. This is a mass-produced knife. There's thousands of examples out there, and not all are going to be the same, and not all are going to make it through QC, unfortunately. But mine, touching on the pros, the fit and finish was great. The edge was great. So all the things that you would want, you know, the things that you just kind of kick the tires on once you get the knife out of the box, everything was faring pretty well. One of probably the better edges I've had on a Spyderco in a long time. So that I was pretty thankful for. Which I guess we'll kind of jump into the so-sos of the knife. Let's look at the little things that I'm going to kind of nitpick, I guess you could say. So one thing I was a little surprised by, and maybe this is me building up my own expectations of the knife and not doing my research, so this is, I'm going to say, on me, but I was hoping or expecting that it would be a little bit different in as far as footprint and profile. Pretty much the exact same thickness, exact same height, blade stocks are the same. Everything's going to be the same, sans that almost 1 ounce difference. And I really wish that they would have kind of went a little bit thinner on the scales, a little bit thinner on the blade, and kind of just made it a little more compact than what I was used to with this. So everything's going to, I mean, with the pocket clip, it's going to ride a little bit nicer in the pocket. But if this is in your pocket, I know people are saying it feels so nice in the pocket to have this lightweight knife, but it's not even quite an ounce. So there's not much difference in the pocket minus the clip. And, you know, I have the aftermarket clip on this one. So it's got the same bulk and profile to it. So that's just kind of so-so. And then one thing, if you saw my unboxing video, I mentioned in there was no lock stick. And then I annotated at the bottom that, in fact, there was a little bit of lock stick. There is a little bit. It's not terrible. It's not that bad at all. But I don't know if you could hear that. But there is a little bit of lock stick. Nothing that I'm concerned about. I'm not going to send it back to the factory. I'm not even going to try to fix it because it's not that bad. It might even work itself out. But that is something that I was a little worried about, seeing examples elsewhere of potential lock stick. So, you know, hey, way to pull through and meet those expectations, Spyderco. Good job. The other thing is going to be the action on it is okay. And I realize it's going to break in a little bit and probably get a little bit better over time. But it's running on one phosphor bronze washer, whereas, so if you have the action that you're used to on this, I don't think that this will ever live up to that. This action's okay. It really is. This action's great on mine, at least. So I don't ever expect this knife to meet that, but I think it's adequate for, you know, a lightweight knife under $100. I think they did an okay job, but if you're expecting that, you're not going to quite get that, in my opinion. And the last little thing was, in my unboxing video, I also stated that I like the FRN better than some of the other ones. And so what I did with them, I just kind of played with them in hand and just kind of evaluated the, I guess, like the scratch test and the in-hand feeling of which FRN, yep, the smudge is still there. We haven't made it there yet. Which one I like the best out of these. And you know what's funny is I thought I liked this one the best, but I think it might be my least favorite now that I have it in hand and I'm really just experiencing it and carrying it. Feels like just hard plastic, like hard ABS plastic. Whereas like FRN, there's almost like a little bit of a grittiness to them on these ones that you can kind of feel it. This one's kind of missing that, so I don't know. It might just be me. It's personal preference, but this is not my favorite FRN. And then we're going to go into 1.0, and I want to give a shout out to my buddy, my friend, Steve over at Supersteelsteve. What a great guy. I don't know what I'm talking about. But, yeah, he pointed this out in his unboxing video, which I just now recently watched. You guys should go watch that. I should have watched it sooner. because I'm a bad friend. But check this out. So what you're getting is the stop pin here. You can see it's nested in a liner there, but on this side it's just going into that plastic. And this is what I said feels like hard ABS plastic. So it's almost kind of like that's kind of the point of failure on this knife, if there is going to be one, in my opinion, because you have that pressure going into this. So that little spot right there. Whereas even with the bug out, I know a lot of people kind of give it crap, but the bug out, steel liner on both sides, where this is on one. So that's going to be one oh no. I think that's a kind of an oversight. I don't know if they thought people would notice or if they thought they could explain it away by saying it's not a hard use knife. You know, that's kind of the things that people like to throw out there, you know, companies and marketing and all that, when people nitpick a little issue like that. So to me, that's going to be really the only oh no on this. I don't know if I would trust that in just a hard use situation. Am I going to be hard using my Para 3 lightweight like that? Probably not, but some of you might. So figured that would be probably the one point of contention that you guys are going to find on this knife if you go through it and evaluate it. So big shout out to Supersteelsteve for figuring that out. Thanks, Steven. You're a doll. But those are just my basics observations, the things that I've noticed about it. If you guys have any questions about that, like I said, down below, let me know. All right, time for a knife comparison. The way I'm going to do this is just unscripted. I have some talking points and some guidelines I'm going to follow, but this is going to just be in hand. If you saw my knife battle royale, it's kind of like no specs, no price, no bullshit. That's what it's going to be. Just how the experience with these knives go. All right, so starting out with just like ergonomics, what I'm going to do is I've got a board. We're not really going to be trying to cut anything. It's just kind of see how the handle is in hand ergonomically. It's on some hard pushes. So I'm going to give it some hard pushes and see what happens. So the bug out is a pretty neutral handle. It's just kind of skinny and slender. So we'll see how this one holds up. I'm just going to do a couple hard pushes and then go on to the next one. So pretty neutral in hand. Not really too much that's going on. Not super ergonomic, but not uncomfortable. No real hot spots I was noticing at all. Maybe just a hair on the inside of that liner, but not bad. So that's the bug out. We're gonna go on to the next one. Next up is the Native 5. Open it up, get it in hand, and just do some more hard pushes. All right, so for this one, what I'm noticing is my finger wants to slide down into this area, and it's kind of pushing all up in my hands. So as I'm pushing on it, everything's kind of sliding up and pushing into my hand. So this little choil here and this, like the pocket clip and just a lot of here was going on, was kind of moving in my hand around, moving around a lot. Not terrible, but it was noticeably uncomfortable. Next up will be the Chaparral Lightweight. We're gonna try this guy out and see how it goes. Now this one has a really thin profile, so I'm wondering if that's gonna get uncomfortable in the hand. So surprisingly, that was actually pretty good. Actually, the most uncomfortable part was the blade stock when you're pushing on it, how thin that blade stock is, that less surface area, more pressure, created a little bit of a pressure point on the thumb. Not a hot spot per se, but more of a pressure point. I'm actually really impressed. I didn't think that was gonna be as ergonomic, because I have never really used it for like hard cutting, so interesting. Next one. All right, moment of truth, the Para 3 Lightweight. Let's see how it does. Okay, so actually not bad. The only spot I noticed was right here. There's so much spacing between the scales. And there's like a slightly unfinished edge here. So that little sharp unfinished edge was kind of pushing on the finger, but not that bad. Okay, cool. So that wraps that up. We'll do a quick little in the pocket, which one rides the best. All right, there you can see you've got the Para 3 Lightweight in the pocket, riding really good with that pocket clip. Does stick out a little bit wider because it does have that original Para 3 profile. But overall in the pocket, a little bit of a pocket hog. And actually, now that I slide my hand in there, running my hand down the back of that is kind of uncomfortable because of that opening and that unfinished edge. So it's doing okay. Chaparral Lightweight. Takes up less pocket space this way, less pocket space this way. It's a lot thinner. It's a little bit easier in and out of the pocket. Since it doesn't have that opening stuff, the opening space in the back, it's not rubbing up against. This is finished off nicely. So when your hand does slide past it, it's not that big of a deal. So that's actually winning in the pocket so far. All right, the Native 5. Not winning any carrying contest. A little bit more of a hog this way and this way. So, it's okay. Next is going to be the bug out. Now, the bug out is the slimmest of all of them. Takes up the least real estate. Does a little bit longer, but going in and out of the pocket does have that same issue with you're running down the liners or the back of the open spacer or the back of the handle scales. So you do have a little bit of opening. You can see, I don't know if I should focus on my hand, but there's some marks right there from running down the back of it. But it's not bad, not as bad as the Para 3. So, all right, I think that's gonna wrap that up. We're gonna probably run back and check out a few more things. All right, so talking about action real quick and just fidget factor and the little fun things that we like. These are probably gonna be the worst two. With this one taking it, it's almost unspidey flickable. I can't get it, but it does have a nice secure lockback, so that's always an attribute that's nice to have. The chaparral in my video I said was kind of a hard spidey flicker, and now that I've had the Native 5, I can appreciate the chaparral a little bit better. It is, you just gotta get the angle just right, but you know, these are lockbacks, so the actions aren't gonna be anything that you're writing home about. So let's take a look at the other two. Now these are going to be the two that have the best fidget factor out of all of the knives, but the clear winner is going to be the bug out. You know, left-handed, I can flick it open, and there's that. Just the axis lock, and is running on double phosphor bronze washers. This is one single washer on the compression lock that I know it still needs a little breaking in, and it'll get better, but honestly, the bug out's going to win this one. And now we're back inside. Where does that leave us? There's a couple more talking points on these knives up against each other, and then we're going to wrap up into final thoughts about this knife in particular. A couple of things that I wanted to touch on was the weight. The heaviest being this one by barely beating out the Native 5, so 2.45 and 2.43 respectively I got on these two. And then the next lightest one is going to be the chaparral at about 2.05, and then I got the bug out coming in at the lightest with 1.9. So if you're going off of purely just ounce per ounce, which one's your best, best candidate for the lightest knife, it's gonna be this, followed by that, and then that guy right there. The other thing I want to talk about is just the overall profile. We touched on it briefly, going in and out of the pocket. You can see lined up against each other. Let's get them in line. All right, well, screw that. This will just be easier doing it this way. This is the thinnest, followed by this one, followed by this one, and then followed by that one. So just going off pure thinness, like profile, it's going to be that one. So just overall carry and things like that. So if I had to pick out of this bunch here, sorry that this wasn't more entertaining, but this was just kind of fact by fact. I'm going with price and all the things considered. A just light EDC knife would be the chaparral. Like a light EDC, but I got to get some work done knife would be the bug out. And then these two would kind of be interchangeable depending on what I was doing. This would be my like a camp knife because it is in that LC200N. All good knives. I don't want this to sound like I'm bagging on any of the knives, but just personal, just off the cuff initial impressions. If I had to pick any of these knives for light EDC, it would be that one. Really close second. Actually, these two, man, just back and forth. That's how it is with us knife guys, right? We're always switching it up. And then this. So let's wrap up into final thoughts and impressions. All right, final thoughts and impressions on this knife, the Para 3 Lightweight. What do I think? I think what this knife is going to be for is a particular person. Like it, love it, or leave it. I like the knife. We'll say that right off the bat, and you can cut off the video, or you can hear why. The reasons why are, I think it's overall done pretty well. That pin in the plastic is a little suspect, but for me, that wouldn't be an issue because I'm not doing the hard stuff with this knife. I would choose a different knife. Outside of that, I like pretty much everything that's going on with the package. However, if you already own a Para 3, this knife is not going to do anything for you that this knife isn't doing. I know that this one is lighter, but like I said, personally in the pocket, I don't notice much of a difference. I don't know if that, I'll put exactly the difference right here on the screen. If that is, oh, hey, that's so much different. If I want a lightweight knife, I'm going to go for something like one of these. It's going to be thinner, lighter, more into that category of lightweight EDC. But if you can't afford this and you want to jump into Spyderco's and spend less than $100, get a USA made Spyderco with really good steel and a compression lock, there you go. That's the one. So that's kind of where I'm at. I like the knife. I think it's done well. I don't have any issues with this knife personally. A few of you folks might with some of the things that I brought up, but it's a good buy. I think, Spyderco is doing a good job. This is what they do. They take their models that work and then they propel them forward. Whether this is going to probably be sprint, run, up and down, and I look forward to that because there might be something that sticks out to me. If this was blue, translucent blue, and LC200N, that would probably sell me like crazy. But that's my final thoughts and impressions on the knife. I think it's a good knife, but if you already have the Para 3, I don't think it's going to do anything for you that this already isn't doing. And if you're looking for that good light EDC solution, I think these two would probably be a little bit of a better choice, but there you go. That's not a bad choice as well. So hopefully you guys got something out of this. If you have any questions, comments, criticisms, general just pitchfork and torch things, let me know down below. All right, guys, have a good one. As always, we'll see you next time. Stay tuned.